Nothing freaking awesome.
Are we at it again?
We're at it again. Oh, it's beautiful, hey. Oh, wait. Oh, Yeah. So I just had some questions for you, as far as like Disc Mill Records goes.
Yep.
You know, LLC Day.
LLC
right?
Day.
Right. So, how did you first hear about Disc Mill Records? How did you know it was a thing?
So Disc Mill Records popped up on the radar basically out of nowhere when you moved into town and you know started doing your thing. I was interested in the fact that you were around. We did that initial Disc Mill Records party as a result of, you know, the t-shirts and the stickers and stuff that you made. The idea was, let's get everybody who's interested around and let's show a little bit of what we got. And that ended up being a really cool little show night. So, I mean, as far as like exactly how I was introduced to Disc Mill Records at some point during that initial little startup zone where you got real merchandise happy was the first time that I realized that it was a thing. You know, when I started coming over here and talking with you in regards to music and business and those sorts of things. So I would argue that Disc Mill Records actually sought me out because I was invited. I didn't come looking. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you guys really found me more than anything. Like, it was one of those things that you had established something and then identified and said, oh, okay, I want to work with this guy. And, you know, so we got together and, you know, your hometown, you're familiar. I know who you are. We go back, even though we don't, you know, like we come from some of the same humble beginnings, more or less. And so, like, it was a really easy choice to just say, hey, let's jump aboard and let's work with you. Because at the time, it was just trivial. It was just fun. And we were all still just doing the casual music thing. And
I was working with Zoom at Buddy's. And you guys invited me to that West Central Rap Showcase at the Doom Room. And I was at least a face there and present. And, yeah, it was about a month after that we had that first big Disc Mill meeting.
And I think that might have been one of the introduction points, because the West Central Rap Showcase was actually one that I ran myself. So that was an opportunity for you to see me as an MC, as a host, you know, and kind of just in charge of the whole thing, you know, top to bottom. So you kind of got to see an idea of what I bring to the table. You got to see entire top to bottom show booking, promotions, advertising project, and you got to see the end result of that, a successful end result. That was a profitable show. That was really, really exciting. It opened a lot of doors for a lot of new artists, a lot of rap artists that I'm working with currently. That was strictly rap, so that was really interesting. And to take a genre like rap, like what I told you, this is not a live show game, the rap game. It's really not. It's an internet game now. It's a flash in the pan, one track wonder, build Facebook revenue, YouTube stream type of game. You don't have to write 16 bars, 32 bars a track. You don't have to build a beat or anything like that. It's possible as a rap artist to literally freestyle your way into the public eye. If you have just the right words in your head for that one moment and you deliver it on camera in the right place, you can explode onto the scene and people will give you your beats. People will write you your music. People will open doors for record contracts and merchandising and, hey, I want you on my label. Hey, I want you at my venue. Hey, I want you to open for me. Holy shit, you're really cool. Can I follow your page type of thing? And there's so many levels to it. There's a local level that grows just past your friends and initial family. I really think that any solo artist and not just limited to rap, but specifically for rap, typically has between 20 and 100 fans right out the gate, and that fan base never changes. And these fans rely less on the shock and awe and the talent and capabilities of the artist as much as they do as supporting a friend or a family member.
I was gonna ask you, what about that first Disc Mill meeting here? Do you realize that was November of 2017?
Yes, I do.
It was a while ago, man.
Yep.
What was it about that meeting that made you feel like it was something that you wanted to be a part of and help work on?
Okay, so the first thing you need to know about me is because by nature what I do is I know everybody. It's my job to know all of the producers, all of the artists, all of the promoters, all of the venues, every name that has anything to do with the music scene or industry anywhere in the area. It's my job to know those people. It's my job to make good connections with those people. It's my job to help those people and to build a reputation so that I can, be a successful business person in my game, which is promoting and that sort of thing. So it was an absolute necessity. It was the kind of thing I was automatically looking for. I knew the second that I came, before anything happened, that there were going to be people that I would want to talk to and associate with, regardless of what you were doing or what your projects were. Everybody here was focused on the music. They had different projects going, different mindsets, and different goals in these things. But every one of them is an important piece of the puzzle of why I do what I do. So it's important to come in and make those connections. So as the second I was invited, I knew that I would at least be attempting to make relationships with everybody there and be helping. I would definitely put my fingers in basically anything that I arrive at. If I'm at your show, I will meet you. I will ask how it runs. I will introduce myself to the artists, and I will introduce myself to the entrepreneurs and the promoters and all these things, and the owners, and make a statement and make an impact, and hopefully later be able to do business with those people, in a good way. So it was really, really fast.
Yeah.
If I hear about it, I get involved. That's what I do.
Yeah. So it's been about a year and a half though since that first meeting, and today's D-Day, right? Today's the day that we finally
Indeed
put our money where our mouth is, and freaking paperwork is on the way, tax ID, the whole 9 yards, like the real deal, legal business, right?
Groovy.
So did you think that this day was going to come?
Yes.
You knew it was inevitable.
I did not necessarily know that this day would come as Disc Mill Records or as Ramp Promotions. But there was a point, even substantially before the Disc Mill Record meeting, when I was doing this. I was doing lights and sound for a show. I was running the gate. I was booking all of the artists and doing all these things, and I had so much fun with it. Like it was so exciting and so interesting and really fast paced. So much going on, so that there was a certain point. I want to say somewhere between my first big show, the Greenhouse Mini Gathering in 2011, and my first Utterfest in 2015. At some point in there, before I did Utterfest, that show really it kind of broke my mold as to what I saw myself doing as a profession. I realized this is something I'm passionate about. This is something I like to do. So there at some point in that 4-year span, I kind of came out of my shell and decided, okay, this is the career path that I'm going to choose. It's at this point that I'm going to start in the simplest way possible, and that is go to shows, try to meet the artists, and try not to meet the artists for the purpose of hound dogging and stuff like that. And I'm not so much interested in how you got as good as you are or your beginnings or anything like that. What I'm interested in is where you intend to go. Who do you work with? How does it all happen? Like, do you make money? What is your problem with the way that the industry works? And is there anything that you'd like to change? And so these are the kind of questions that I was asking people really, really early on, because I had experienced, significant losses trying to run shows, and I couldn't bring myself to understand how anybody is making any money in the business, even though there's so much money floating around. Where does it all go? And how does one get a slice of that pie without hurting somebody else? And how does one make sure that those who aren't getting a big enough slice can eventually see that? And so I saw things that I identified as issues with artists and the way that they get paid for shows. A lot of artists paying to do shows. So taking all their time and effort, making awesome music, and then having to go in and pay to do a show, to me just seems completely wrong. If you're going to entertain somebody, if you're going to put your heart and soul out there, if you're going to put significant hours of your work on the stage for everyone to see, and you put yourself out there like that, that's something you should be paid for. That's something that you should earn for. That should be rewarded. And so a lot of these artists had given themselves the idea that the reward is the warm, fuzzy feeling that you get, and the people who come there to see you, and the stars in their eyes, and the clapping in their hands, and the cheering and stuff like that. And that's really, really cool. And I feel like artists lose sight of the possibility of making any money or going anywhere or setting lofty goals because people tell them how infinitely difficult the grind is, and how hard you have to work and how much effort you have to put to make nothing. And I think that there's an opportunity to take these people and to give them affordable production for their music, studio time and time with producers and those sorts of things, and also to offer them opportunities that pay, even in small portions, is so much more substantial than what they're making now, and it motivates individuals, to rise to the occasion and to write new things and to explore their music. And that's the problems that I wanted to solve right out the gate. Those are the things that I latched onto, and I think that the response is shared by everybody who I speak to. The artists, they want to make a little bit more money. The venues want to make a little bit more money. They want more people, and there's an opportunity there where all you have to do is generate the interest, apply the artist to the venue, show what they're capable of, and then go from there. So the structure right now is to get venues to pay for individual shows at a small fee, a nominal fee compared to what might get paid for a DJ or a cover band, such that it's incredibly appealing, and then to offer them a couple hours of entertainment from accomplished musicians, those who have considerable amount of material and can perform it well, and like I said, well-practiced individuals. You offer the well-practiced individual, you offer the artist, the starving artist, an opportunity, you offer the venue, the starving artist, and all of the pieces fall together. Like I said before, 2 hours, 3 hours, that's enough time to sell some beer. That's enough time to bring in some people. That's enough time to bring in some heads and have a party. That's enough time to do some things. And so that's what we're really shooting for is short shows and stuff like that. And that was the initial business model that I saw as an opportunity for profit, to just take these small venues and make things work. And so far that's been a reasonably productive way to do things. And it's also cut the cost to almost none, at least from my perspective. And then being able to do that and bring in small amounts of revenue allows us to actually prepare for large shows, for festival shows, for multiple performances in larger venues with larger crowds. And also all of the individuals who support the artists we support have visibility to the larger events that we do, including the venues, including the fans from the venues, and then all of the family and friends that I mentioned before. Every artist comes with followers. These followers don't follow because of the music, they follow because of the people. If you suck at music, okay, and there's a lot of you who do, if you suck at music, you don't necessarily know that. And your friends and your family, they're not going to tell you, because people don't do that. What are they going to do? They're going to support you. They're going to tell you to do a good job. They'll make some suggestions here and there and that sort of thing. But these people are always behind you. But the people are behind you because they want to support you, which means that the people will show up. If you do as we did and you put your money where your mouth is and you put your time there for us, we will help you. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're helping you, and you're helping us, and everybody is winning. Everybody gets something, and we can take advantage of all of these opportunities and bring all of these people together, and everybody wins. Quality entertainment for the fans, profitable shows for the venues that don't require royalty fees. You don't have to pay royalty fees for original music, and this is a big chunk of what a lot of these venues are paying for. They're paying pretty substantial amounts, whether it be monthly or yearly, depending on their shows, just for these royalties, because they have cover bands and things like that. And those royalties alone sometimes cost more than what I charge for a single artist in a night. And that's a pretty sweet deal. And I think that venues will eventually catch on to that. The idea of bringing in just a couple of artists on regular nights with the purpose of having, a few people come in, buy some beers. You have the open mic night. You have the acoustic night. You have the rap night, maybe. We talked about the business model for rap, which isn't particularly good due to lack of time, because most artists can't produce long sets. But still, certainly there's something there, depending on the skill and the pull. In the case of Zoom, if I hold a show and I put Zoom's name on the poster, we bring 50 to 100 people, and it just happens. It doesn't matter where we bring them, and so in some cases we can make that work.
Yeah,
I think. Well, back to what I said before. We take our clients and we identify where their value lies. And we say to ourselves, okay, is this person a studio person? Is this somebody that we want to press albums for that's maybe not a good stage person? We don't want to do live shows for them. We want to have something for everybody. If you can perform on the stage, we offer you the stage. If you can perform in the studio, we offer you the studio. If you can draw, you can make the artwork. Whatever you bring to the table, we can help you, and we can work together. And we're in a position now where that's affordable for everybody. The biggest issue in the industry is cost. It can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to produce an album. It can cost you $5,000 to produce a good single with a music video. It can cost insane amounts. An individual artist out seeking shows for himself might pay a venue $200 to $500 to open for 30 minutes, be forgotten about, because everybody's there to see the big band that night. And the same person can go to a venue and try to hustle a $50 show and have nobody show up because there's no outside promotion. This person has to take time to practice. This person has to take time to invite their own friends. And I don't believe that the burden should fall on the artists who already spend so much money and time on their craft and maybe don't have 25 hours in a day, as most of us don't. So it's our job to take some of the burden off of them. If you allow an artist to focus on their music, you offer them the opportunities they need so they don't have to seek those opportunities out themselves. That frees up time. That builds good relationships. And like I said, it's beneficial for everybody. And then to also put that person in a position where they can then be profitable too. I mean, that's a pretty cool gig. And I dare say there's not an artist out there who wouldn't enjoy that quite a lot, even if it's just a little bit. And for those who are successful or semi-successful or working up, I think you could look back to your humble beginnings and say, man, I really wish I had these guys when I started my shit.
It's already happened with working with my brother and Nick.
And so, in our perspective, it's interesting because we're not seeking out the cash camel. We're not trying to find the diamond in the rough. And certainly these things come along. Very talented people come along all the time and sometimes don't get to realize that talent.
There are Phils in the world.
Yeah. But to be able to identify who those people are and help them produce their music is good, but to take all of the individuals at all levels and identify their strengths and see how they fit in and give them their fair shake in the industry from a new perspective, something that doesn't cost so much money, a world where people want to help and not skim off of the top, a world where the record label doesn't make 99% and you make 1%.
Right.
Because that's just outrageous. And certainly there's somebody out there that can argue as to why that is and why somebody deserves that. And the bottom line is they just don't. And that's made incredibly clear by the incredible gap in wealth between the company and their popular artists. It's absolutely absurd that record executives out there who couldn't pick a guitar if they tried, maybe can't even actually produce music, but just own a company, can just gouge an artist for all of their skills and take most of that money and put it right in the bank, simply because we have all the cool gear. We know all the cool people. We're the ones who can make the radio ready sound on the spot. So you don't have nobody else pay out.
Right.
That's really where the industry is at. And it doesn't matter if you're good or not. In fact, if you're not good, you make absolutely nothing and you pay out the ass.
Well, and Chance the Rapper is showing us that it is shifting, but it's slow, and there has to be people.
I don't like to use pop culture icons in any form to generalize what's going on.
Oh, to me, it's only because he got nominated for a Grammy based off plays on SoundCloud. He didn't have to physically manufacture anything except for what he made himself. And that, to me, was a sign that the industry was starting to go more towards where real artists actually are. Because if you take the number of popular artists we have versus the number of artists that exist, super small minority. And Chance the Rapper was that little shining light of, hey, there's a lot of us out here that know what we're doing.
This is not an example of the industry suddenly becoming humble in any capacity at all.
Was that you?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, I think it's my freaking Bluetooth speaker.
Has it connected to your phone here?
Yeah, somebody's calling. Something that I wanted to point out that you had mentioned, it triggered something in my mind that I thought today, literally as I'm like on my afternoon break about to send this, payment for the LLC to finally really do it after 4 years of thinking about doing it, right? And the word hobby's been used a lot in my life. From when I picked up a guitar when I was 13 until last month. Somebody said, it's nice that he's got this hobby in his basement. He really enjoys working on these jams. You know what I mean? And you were kind of alluding to that idea of like friends and family supporting you in a way that it's like, oh, it's cute. Your cousin or your son or daughter has this thing that keeps them busy, right?
Yeah.
And what I realized when I was submitting that payment and we were finalizing and forming this LLC,
step out of hobby land.
It's not a hobby anymore. Like today is the death of the hobby. Like I've tried explaining that it is a business or could be a business. And when you push that button and you see like, you're going to have to be dealing with taxes, dude. Like you're going to have to be dealing with the federal and state government when it comes to your legal business name now.
Yep.
That's not a hobby. That's a job.
No, that is a job.
And to me, it felt great. I felt vindicated in my own action. And I'm just curious how it feels for you to be a co-founder of something like that.
Well, to be pretty honest with you, it's kind of underwhelming. By nature, things like that, I have kind of a different perspective on it. So my aspiration has always been to develop something like this. I've always understood kind of how businesses run and what it takes to have a profitable model and what type of work goes into it and what type of things go into it. And so to actually just push the button on it is really just kind of another step in what I've already been progressing. So while I felt like, oh, okay, being name on in an LLC or in any company for that matter, having any part of something that's actually like mine, it was always a goal, but it was always something that I found was more and more achievable as you put yourself out there and you put yourself into intricate and complicated situations. For example, running that rap showcase show and some of the other ones that I did before. You don't know what to expect going in. Initially, the nerves are there. And as you put yourself in these crazy situations and you make yourself responsible for everything, you put your finances and your time and your energy and everything on the line, your reputation, and all these things, and you try to just insert yourself into this already existing industry and business world. I felt like I've already always had a face in it, like I've always put my stamp on it. And so every time the next biggest challenge arises, or the next awkward situation, or the next big hurdle, it's come to a point now where I'm kind of just desensitized to it. When I reach for those things, it's all just part of the game, and it all will just unfold however it does. And I really think that it's my job to stay neutral in that. To be too excited about my business and to be too proud of my business might to be overconfident in that. And that kind of overconfidence can lead to collapse of the integrity of your business. You can't be so cocksure of where you might end up. And you certainly can't say, okay, because we have this business now, because we cemented it, because we finalized the paperwork, that somehow we're greater for that. We're still the same people who push that button and sign that paper. We're still the same people who've been doing this hobby our whole lives, and we're always inserting ourselves into the next big thing. So initially, when you're young and you get into it, and everything is exciting, everything is overwhelming. It's really incredible, and it's an intense feeling. That intensity kind of goes away. There's a certain inner confidence, and also like self-realization that you can do these things. It's that transition between stage fright and a public speaker. It's the ability to one day things just kind of start clicking. This doesn't necessarily set me up to be successful. It doesn't guarantee anything. But it's the next step.
You can put one foot in front of the other and see what happens.
Yep, and that's something that I've always done. So in this case, like I say, it's another step. It's exciting in its own right to see the way that it's going to affect some of the people around us, or some of those who haven't necessarily taken big risks and inserted themselves into something like that. In your case, I can see the excitement. The joy is astounding. Here we are having a beer and doing a video log of the first day of LLC. So to me, the biggest thing, the biggest joy are the smiles on the faces of the people who it affects.
Yeah.
And to keep that smile off my face, it's some way, it's kind of like this hidden drive to stay ahead of the game and be ready for the next step.
And to be, I would say, prepared for the setbacks, because they're bound to happen.
So like I said about it being underwhelming, I try not to live into the moment. And the reason for that is the moment is fleeting. It will be gone. But if you live in the moment and you let the emotion, all that shit, overwhelm you in the moment, and then the moment disappears, the fallout can be so intense. If that emotion
that could cause
lingers,
the whole ship to sink if you were that type of.
If that emotion lingers and that excitement sticks around long after these things fall apart, then what you're left with is just a sudden switch that just gets flipped, and it can just beat you down so hard to see a lot of hard work go down the drain. And so, I mean...
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about how some of your shows have gone too, and so I can understand why you feel more that way too.
You have good shows.
This is not the farthest you've stuck your neck out before.
No.
Not by a long shot, pal.
Neither financially speaking or personally speaking or professionally speaking, I mean...
Not even close.
I've agreed to do things for people on a professional level that I wasn't qualified for, knowing that I could jump in and see what happens and try to float my own boat and wing it, as it were, and make it work.
Sounds like most of my job applications.
So, confidence is key.
Yeah.
Confidence is key. I live by the high emotion equals low intelligence motto. That's basically
pretty much true.
My life statement of how I apply myself. When I'm trying to set goals and reach them, I try to keep emotion out of it completely. The biggest thing for this is I do still have that inward joy that comes from the reactions you get from people for these sort of things. There's nothing better to me as a promoter than to see an artist get a good reception on the stage, than to see a producer finish an album and smile, to see your name on a poster. That kind of excitement, that's why I do it. And it's not mine to take. it's mine to give. It's my job to give, or at least it's what I want to do, is make it my job to give that to people, to give them that excitement, to give them that joy. As an artist, how does it feel when everybody just loves your music, when everybody just all smiles, glued to your art, and then when you finish, they freak out? That's a beautiful feeling as an artist. Like, there ain't nothing like that, because you're making yourself vulnerable on stage with the hope that your vulnerability isn't mocked. You know, that that vulnerability somehow affects somebody else in a positive way.
You're heard and you're felt.
You're not on the stage to send people home unhappy. You're not on the stage to tear people apart and make them upset. You're there to entertain them. You're there to make them happy. And even if, you know, your subject matter isn't necessarily sunshine and rainbows, there's people that need that to be happy.
It makes you feel connected and understood.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And when you can put yourself out there like that and see that other people feel the same way, like, that is really the ultimate reward for any artist, and not just musicians. Any artist, any person who produces any art of any kind, simply wants to express themselves and to know that other people got something from it, that other people were positively impacted or affected by it.
Yeah.
And so that's the joy that I get, is seeing that those people get that recognition, that they get that fuzzy feeling, like they need that, and that makes them better at their craft. That makes them more inclined to continue along that path. If you have one bad show one day as an underdeveloped artist, that could be the end of your career. You may never want to step foot on a stage again.
Right.
You know, and so persistence,
man.
We can't get rid of those bad days. You can't. But what you can do is you can tell somebody, or you can show somebody rather, that there's good stuff out there to have fun with. There's somebody out there that's going to get something good from what you're doing, and to just see that once is all the motivation anybody ever needs. I've been there, and I've done it, and I've watched the people just, like, you know, just soak it all in, and you know, I've seen people just overwhelmed with happiness to the point where they can't put it into words, and you're saying, you know, 30 people clapped for you, man. Like, it was that big of a deal? Hell yeah, it was. You know, for some people, that's all it takes. And to build them up builds you up.
Right.
You know?
Any closing comments you want to make? Pretty much group chat people are the only ones I'm sure are going to watch this, because the YouTube channel's got about 45 subscribers right now. But I want to end the video so that we can enjoy our evening and relax.
I have one closing comment. All right. So for anybody who probably only exclusively limited to our group chat took the time to sit down through this, like, 32-minute, 35-minute interview thing that we're doing right now, I applaud you. Because holy shit, there's no way this wasn't one of the more boring things you've ever seen. While it's moderately insightful, thank you for watching, you know. But if you are watching, you're connected with Disc Mill Records in some way or another. You know these people. If you're a performer, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to ask. You know, if you want to do shows, if you want to make music, if you want to learn about the business, if you want to be any part of it, all you have to do is ask. Step in. We're here to help. You know, we're here to help you fly. You know, and we can do all of these things that a person needs to get that foundation to become something. And so anybody that sees what we're doing here and wants a part of that, sign up. You know, accepting all comers. If you're not confident in your abilities, let us give you confidence. If you don't have a means to produce your music, let us produce your music. If you can't find a place to do a show, let us give you a show. Let us market your music. Let us promote you. Let us advertise everything you do. Let us make videos for you. Let us make music for you. Let us take you on the journey, you know, that is Disc Mill Records. Cheers.
It makes sense to me. Hey, happy LLC Day.
Happy LLC Day.
Yeah. Nice. Friggin' nice.